All right, so welcome, Pete. Are you on here? I see you now. Okay, it's
Yes.
perfect.
Good morning
So,
or evening.
good morning, good evening. So, just good evening, everybody. Thank you again, and welcome to our webinar today. Today, finally, June 1st. Summer is coming around the corner, and this is exactly 2 months now that we've been hosting this webinar for everybody in Asia. So time has been fly. But summer normally is our busiest time for U.S. college sport camp. We actually schedule for about 30, 40 camps this summer in 12 different countries. Of course, 7 sports, but hopefully we will see you again soon, maybe this winter. But today we just have to make it as we can. Once again, if you never attend this US webinar before, my name is George Duomani. I'm a founder and CEO of US College Sport Camp. So we starting our organization in 2013. So it's been almost 8 years now. The reason why we starting this, we want to give opportunity for you and your family and your children to learn and compete, and of course, the opportunity to come here for U.S. College, whether it can be a sports scholarship or academic scholarship. Basically, you can continue strive both sport and academic at the same time here in U.S. And I'm walk to walk. I came here to U.S. about 30 years ago because of tennis. Tried to turn pro, but certainly didn't happen. And we continue, and I continue with U.S. college tennis scholarship. Played for South Alabama for 4 years, and went on NBA and worked for Morgan Stanley for the past 25 years. But long behold, 30 years ago, nobody ever told me anything about opportunity in U.S. college sport. So here we are. We want to give you opportunity, and you learn, you compete, you showcase yourself to college coaches and be able to come here in U.S. So, we set up the organization 8 years ago. Our headquarters, in fact, is in Thailand. Our whole team is ready to help you. Please go ahead and reach out to them. If anything, we can help you. Certainly let us know. But certainly this summer, we're not going to see you in person for sure. So, anytime you just call us or online us, email us, text us, anything like that. So it's just a housekeeping for the rule of the webinar. Please mute your microphone so our host can certainly speak clearly, and you all will be able to listen and clearly understand them. Please mute your microphone. And secondly, at the bottom of your screen, you will see the chat room. Please write your question, anything that you want to ask our host today. We'll leave 15 minutes at the end of the session for them to help answer all the questions that you have. We certainly want to make this webinar as interactive as possible. So anytime that you have questions, just go ahead and write in the chat room, and we will certainly give you the answer at the end of the day. Well, COVID, now we in the right subject, COVID situation, social distancing, and, whether you want to be on the digital platform or not, voluntaries or forced, by somebody, we all on the digital platform now. And, and today it's the right timing. We have our host today from one of the top online educational platform, especially for athletes. They will, Pete and Matt will be able to provide you information and what you need in the future for your strive in education and also in sport. So, and who should I introduce first, Matt or Pete? But
yeah, either one, George.
okay.
So however you want to do it. Yeah.
All right. Let me go with you first, Pete. As your titles, it's certainly a lot bigger as a president of USPA. And Matt, it's, again, it's the same thing, walk to walk. He's a, you know, Olympic trial, or I don't know, let him tell about himself, but he's a high performance seller. And basically he went through all the way and the whole system from young junior athlete all the way to the highest level for the Olympic. And he started his business. He's been in this for about 25 years now. And also his co-hosts were Matt. Basically anything that you want to know about sport, not just one sport, anything. And his, I don't know, I read your bio. It's just every sport academy in the world, Matt have his hand on, whether in tennis or golf or in the multi-sports academy, he's there. So not overdue. Let me give this presentation to you, Pete, and have you take it away. Thanks again.
That sounds great, and I'm trusting everybody can. Thank you for that wonderful introduction. I'm hoping everybody can see my screen that I just shared with everyone. What I'd like to do, and as George mentioned, my name is Pete Smith. As I did start out sailing professionally, and then was sucked into education in schools and fell in love with the idea of community. Started as your typical athlete, teacher, coach, athletic director, and then ended up running middle schools. And it was really my first glimpse into the power of technology and leveraging one-on-one learning experiences. And over the course of several years teaching and in being in leadership positions, I realized that, athletes often face a really tough choice of do I pursue my dreams athletically or do I pursue my dreams academically? And we really, and I believe firmly in USPA started based on the premise that students shouldn't have to choose between one or the other. It should be a fully integrated approach without sacrificing your athletic dreams or your academic dreams. And that's really the premise or foundations for U.S. Performance Academy. And we're going to talk about sort of the three pillars of our success and our differentiators. I'll tie in some student stories. I would encourage you guys to ask questions. I did upload our admissions guide that you can take with you as a download. It's in the chat. And if you have questions at the end or even throughout, feel free to jump in. George, if you want to moderate, or Matt, you could moderate some of those questions as they come in. But I'll do my best to keep this as short as possible and really just talking about why we're here, and certainly in this uncertain world. So really our three pillars, what we're going to talk about today are the flexibility, meaning how flexible is your academic platform? Why does it need to be flexible? What we've gleaned from our experience as far as what we've learned from our experience working with athletes in all sorts of different sports. In other words, what does your child need? And then also from a parent perspective, what does it mean to have your students work towards a U.S. diploma, and how are they supported? And I think there's a real difference in how we approach it versus how we used to approach it at other schools. So let's just get started. As I mentioned before, we're going to talk about our students really come on three different approaches and pathways. And we knew that our academics had to be top notch. In other words, we love that our students are really good in sport or athletics, but we also absolutely want them to go to the very best schools, or more importantly, the schools of their choice, meaning U.S. colleges and universities. And so our academic platform provides all sorts of courses. They would be both their core courses and electives. Students choose based on their transcripts. We're an admissions school, meaning you're going to do an application. There's short answer essays, student interviews, transcripts, records. We have a full admissions team that will help you through that process. And over the course of that admissions process, we really start to figure out what pathway you're on. In other words, are you focused on being an Olympic athlete? Are you focused on your collegiate athlete? In other words, do you want to play sport in university or college? Or in some cases, a lot of our students are already professionals. Or in all three of these pathways, are you striving to get to this level? You don't necessarily need to be at the very top of your athletic game to come to U.S. Performance Academy. You can be striving to get there and just really struggling with how schools are. So the academics itself are fully enclosed, meaning The platform itself has direct instruction, so it's one-on-one instruction, video on demand. So everything can be paused, rewound. All the work and assessments are done right in the system. All you need to bring is a device and a Wi-Fi connection. After you are accepted into the school, you're going to start working with or orientation in our academic team. Okay, and this is where the support and flexibility comes in. I've already mentioned to you that the flexibility is academics anytime, anywhere. We're a 12-month of the year school. We're open 12 months a year. You can apply anytime you want. A lot of families right now are starting the application process, are already in it, just because they want to continue working on school while they're at home. And certainly with all the uncertainty in the globe and the world, it gets really, really hard for them to understand what's going on, and they're just seeking answers. So we talked a little bit about support. Here are the folks that, or the different caveats that we have. Learning coach, that is really the central support mechanism. Our chief of academics, who's very much like a principal or head of school. Our network of athletes, meaning who does my child interact with? What does it mean to collaborate with other kids all over the world? You as parents, honestly, I think are often overlooked by academic institutions. You guys as families supporting your athletes go through an awful lot and require a ton of different financial, time, all sorts of resources. And we want to connect you with other parents all over the world. And then of course, college and career counseling. All of this with our online college software, working with our college coaches and counselors and directors are really, really important. And then your coaches, both individual and team coaches, how do we integrate with them to make sure that they understand the importance of your academics? So let's talk first a little bit about the learning coach. This is the heart and soul of our learning community. And as I mentioned before, I think it comes into play right after a student's accepted into our school. They are, the learning coach would set up the first meeting, and the learning coach comes at it proactively versus reactively. When I first founded USPA, they told me, you know what, put somebody by a 1-800 number, in this case a Zoom line, and if students have an academic question, have them call. And I really felt strongly that students needed a connection with their school that was stronger than that. So we approach learning in a very different way. The learning coach will start with each student, and they'll go through the nuts and bolts of our school. In other words, how do we communicate? When do we meet? What do we meet? What's your sport? Who are your parents, the aunts, the uncles, the pets? Really starting out with, this is how you attend and take care of your coursework at USPA. This is how we're going to communicate. And then proactively, our learning coaches set up 2 to 3 meetings per week with your child. And those are meetings initially just to make sure everything is going smoothly academically, because our learning coaches, you as parents, myself included, can see exactly what your child's working on, when they're working on it, what subject they're working on, down to the minute, and whether they're working efficiently, how fast they're moving, are they ahead of schedule, are they behind schedule? And it's really important for students to feel like they're not only known at a school, but also supported. And that's where the learning coach comes in. We found tremendous results with the idea that there is somebody, an adult, no offense, moms and dads out there, but there's another adult at the school who both understands what it's like to be a high-performing athlete, what it's like to train hours and hours a day, and then also be competing and completing high-level academic work and be tired. And building that relationship is the key focus of our learning coaches. And lastly, to serve as a conduit or connection for all of our families. So for moms and dads out there, you have somebody that you know that meets with your child regularly, that you can pick up the phone or call, or chat over line, or WeChat, whatever function you want, multiple models and platforms. But the point being, you can connect with somebody that already knows your child, where they are, what sport they're in, what they're doing, what their struggle is with school, and also where they really, really do well. And you're not sitting there waiting on hold or 24 hours for an email to come back. It's in real time. We already know what you're doing and how you're doing it. And we found that it's really, really important. Over the course of the year, that function, the learning coach will sort of switch roles. So they're building that relationship, but then they're also really going to focus on how your child learns. I think a lot of students come to online learning and digital learning, and certainly at USPA, and they're so excited about the flexibility and the fact that they can control whether they work on math at one time and English at another, or history and science, and they're doing it all on their own. But they're so used to being told when to be at school in their old schools, their brick and mortar schools. They're so used to being told when you're going to get to school, what course you're going to take, when you're going to take it, and how you're going to learn it. You know, the old, I'm going to sit in rows and desks and somebody's going to stand at a board and just sort of distribute information to me in a meaning they feel fit. That can be overwhelming to come to our world and have to turn around and sort of manage that learning on their own. And that's where a learning coach comes in. And after that relationship and orientation is done, they really start to build out the style in which your child learns. In other words, it's really important that kids understand, do I work well in the morning or the evening? Do I prefer to have noise behind me being in the kitchen, or do I like to be up in my room or in a library where it's absolute silence? Do I want to have soft music or, you know, faster paced music going in the background? How do we pack our backpacks is a really important piece. In other words, really digging into not just fractions and all those other pieces, but the idea that, you know, this is how I learn. This is how I'm going to manage my learning. And the learning coach understands that. They become an academic or life skills mentor. You know, I often relate our learning coach role to that of a physical trainer. You know, they're working with you not only in the classroom and academics, in your case in the gym and dryland, but also they can see everything that you're doing. And they're working with you to teach you and let you start to learn to manage your own learning. And that becomes a really key function of our school. And the learning coach obviously will liaison with not only the families, but our college counseling department, our chief of academics, all those folks. And really what that creates is an incredible net of support. The chief of academics in this role oversees all of it: organizational partnerships, development. Kim, who her name, she as a graduate of Harvard, understands online learning, is an amazing resource for both our teachers and families when it comes to all these things. And she provides sort of that safety net throughout all of it. And she's number 2 on this. And she would be liaisoning with not only families, but also organizations that we work with throughout the world. We have an amazing partnership network. We have a bunch of new partnerships announcements coming out in the coming weeks that include some global leaders in their field, which we're really excited about. And Kim will oversee those pieces moving forward. I spoke about college and career counseling. I think so many times we've heard from families that have come from other schools. You know, I just felt like a number when I called them to ask for a college recommendation. You know, it felt like I got a form letter back, and it was hard for me to really feel like somebody knew me. And our director of college counseling is Julie. Is, you know, she worked at U.S. Ski and Snowboard. She's a current college counselor. She does online SAT, ACT prep. She is absolutely not only well respected in her field, but understands her field, along with Brennan, who is our director of college counseling, works in multiple networks. He served as not only a college counseling admissions officer, but also built a college directorship and admissions office from scratch. So both Brennan and Julie understand what the picture is. I think the most important piece is that they connect with both our high school learning coaches to really create a broad picture, meaning you've got a learning coach who's worked with a child for multiple years. They can write a really robust recommendation letter. Combined with our online platform, it becomes a really powerful picture that includes multiple inputs that really put your child's best foot forward when it comes to that college admissions process. And again, I've said this over and over, I think it's really important that all kids succeed in whatever athletic endeavor they pursue. I think it's most important when it comes to the academics that we're providing you with the very best opportunity, not only to get into colleges around the US or the world, but also to remain there. I think that the data shows consistently that it's not just getting into schools that can be tough, it's how you're prepared to succeed there. And I think going back to learning coach's role and sort of how we work with teachers, for us, it's not just fractions and grammar in your courses, it's truly beginning to understand what and how you learn best as a learner. And if we're connecting you with that and teaching you and allowing you to explore those things, you're going to be really successful, not just when you get into the school of your choice, but when you attend it. And that's what Brennan and Julie and our entire team is all about. I talked a little bit about our network of athletes. It's so important that kids feel connected to other students. You know, in this picture, you'll see that's a sailor and a race car driver, an F1 driver from over in Europe. We were down in Miami for a cup of coffee. And I think allowing students to feel like there are others out there and get to know other kids out there, whether it's through Zoom or face-to-face because they're all training or competing in the same city. It's so neat to see kids making connections, whether it's over virtual pizzas or, you know, face-to-face and flying and seeing each other when the world opens up again. But I think most importantly, it's letting kids know that there are others out there that are training and working just as hard as they are. And I think we found tremendous success and connections that, you know, even though I'm going to a virtual or digital school, I still know that there are kids out there that are doing exactly what I'm doing, sharing their stories, going through the wins and the losses just like me. And we found that's an incredible support network, both for parents and students. Our coaches and athletic leaders, we have all sorts of different proprietary platforms that we can use to incorporate both coaches, tutors, parents in regular meetings with our learning coaches. You'll have parent-teacher conferences. We host parent coffees or parent evenings where it's get to know your learning coach or get to know Pete, and we'll come in and use all those different pieces to really connect not only coaches or parents, but also athletes, like I mentioned. So imagine that sort of network of athletes just combined with parents and coaches. Leverage technology. I've already mentioned this, but you know, I think it's really, really important that students feel like there's a central resource for them. Families feel like there's a central resource for them. This is absolutely the most important piece of what we do. We've, over the years, garnered a tremendous amount of experience, whether it's tennis, badminton, soccer, golf, hockey, all these different sports, basketball. We've really started to figure out what students need in their specific sports, and we've aggregated or collected all those resources in one central hub. So you're not just getting your coursework. In other words, hey, log in, we'll see you in 6 months. For us, it was all about how do we truly support athletes? How do we create a flexible environment that doesn't sacrifice academic integrity and truly prepares kids for college and universities? So we're often asked, you know, what does this all translate into? You know, USPA is a fully accredited NCAA approved school that would provide a US diploma upon successful completion. We're fully accredited. Our students go to some of the greatest universities and colleges in the country and the world. You know, we have students at the top electrical engineering school in the UK. We have students at UC schools, Fordham, Furman, University of Ohio, or Ohio State, all sorts of different schools, UNC Chapel Hill. We can go on and on forever and ever. So we'd offer you that diploma and that chance. You can enroll and work on your own. I mentioned the flexibility. You can start with us today. You can start with us in September, August, November. We have students that start all over the year based on their sports calendar and what works for them. When I founded USPA, I didn't want anybody looking at a clock wondering how much support they're going to get. So everything is unlimited. In other words, you can talk to your learning coach as many times as you want. Your content and teachers will be available both in office hours and then customized meeting times. So for our honors and our AP courses, often students will schedule weekly meetings with their teachers. So you're going to have not only content expert teachers in every subject, you're going to have a learning coach that's gathering and working with you daily. SAT, ACT courses are included in our piece. In other words, we don't want you to add an extra fee because you want to start preparing for your SAT and ACT courses. That support is included. I've already talked about the flexibility and complete customization. The academic platform is by far, from what we get, our feedback from parents is it is far superior to any other academic experience that they've been in. Their child's truly interacting with the system. They absolutely love it. To be honest with all of you out there, I don't think that's what sets us apart. I do think it's our flexibility, and I think it's our unique support model. And over the course of the year, that learning coach and our team works with your kids to explore things in their own learning that really set them up for success. So we're not just providing a login and go do your fractions or your grammar homework. We're truly focused on how your student learns best and how does that integrate with sports and how can you be successful in both worlds without sacrificing either school or sport. We want you to do both really well. our dedicated learning coach for each child. And I think most importantly, it's a total academic solution. We can truly fit this to what you need it to be. And we really have a unique understanding of what it looks like, the complete athlete, whether it's the mental preparation, the nutritional piece, or just simply getting through a really, really hard weekend of athletics, whether you're out on the course or on the court and coming back and staring down the barrel of a bunch of work to do. That's where our learning coach and our team really sets itself apart. And believe it or not, I am going to stop talking and answer any questions that you guys have. I will put my information's right here on this slide. You should feel free, excuse me, to contact me directly anytime. I think a lot of what we're finding from a trend standpoint is that a lot of families don't know what's happening out there. We're already starting to have families contact us and say, I don't know if my child's gotten back to school. And I also want answers. I want to plan for what it's going to look like in the fall or in the next month or 2 weeks. And we provide that. Our students are, to be honest with you, it's a very normal day for all of our families in a very tumultuous and unstable globe, as we know. And I think it's really, really important that we understand what their needs are. And so, Matt, I do want to turn it over. I do want to turn it over to Matt for a little bit and let him just chat about what he does for USPA and how it impacts student families. So I'm going to stop my share and turn it over to Matt. Matt, go ahead.
Thanks, Pete. And there's really just a few things I'd add. Pete, gave a good overview, but then how does it work with students from another country or families from another country? So we've got, I'm not sure if everybody's from Thailand. It looks like a lot of people are. We've got only one student so far from Thailand, Wet Pitpat, who is a golfer. And I've known him and his mom for, I don't know, at least 5-6 years. And so to go back a little bit more to the process, so we have an admissions team, just like any other school. So, it's application, it's recommendations, and then there's a student interview. Of course, then that comes into English proficiency, and, we translate transcripts, to the U.S. system. So, in the U.S. High schools, you need 16 core classes over starting, grade 9 through 12. So we want to make sure everybody's on the right path. So that part, we've got an admissions team that looks over everything. Our partners, Pete touched on a little bit. We've got teams and groups. We partner with many of the U.S.A. Olympic younger teams, synchro swimming, skiing, downhill skiing teams, equestrian, and then we have partners such as hockey teams. We've got soccer teams in Europe, many teams, but all wanting the same flexibility. Most schools, excuse me, for athletes, and as George said, I've worked with a lot of academies, but really it's all been in youth, sport, and education, and how to, get them prepared for the next level, which is in our eyes, or one of the paths, most of the paths is on to college. And,
Oh, did we lose Matt?
Yeah, Matt.
I think he's
push
gone.
things back. They
He's back.
on for another year. So what does that do for the fresh kids coming in? Gone through it before. Exactly. There's a lot of changing day.
Matt.
So I think the what Matt often talks about with families is it's changing and it's very dynamic, and he understands what that looks like. And so I know he was broken up there, but that's okay. Matt brings a tremendous amount of experience to it. That will not only, I guess what we're getting at with both Matt's role and everybody's role in support is that there's a ton that goes into it. We understand that. And we want to make sure you feel supported. And we've got a wealth of experience that really hits on a bunch of different things that will support you, both as an international athlete, but most importantly, an international student.
Sorry about that. And, so I've been to Thailand and Bangkok at least at least 10 times, working with lots of families over the last, I don't know, 10 or 12 years. And, what should they do in the summertime? How do they prepare for different things at a younger age if they're looking to go on to play at college sports? So there's a good path out there, and I've helped a lot of families. And then with USPA, what we can do is, some families don't want to send their kids to academies, but they do want them to go on to college. So USPA allows that. Even though, of course, there's about a 12 hour time difference, we manage that, and you still meet with the learning coaches and staff. So we'll accommodate, you don't have to be signed in and signed out at a specific time each day. That would defeat the purpose of what we do, and allowing everybody to be flexible and mobile. So when we use the Wit again from Thailand, when he is playing in a big tournament, we know he's traveling and he's going to play a practice round and 2 tournament rounds and then go back. So sometimes we back completely off of all of his academics and then pick it back up when he's gone. It just depends on his schedule. But we can do that because our learning coaches are in contact with each of our students and families multiple times per week. So I think that's unique of what we do. And, we're just for athletes. So we've been out. Pete, when did you found this? 2013, 12?
Yeah.
Yeah, we've been out there a good while.
Mm-hmm. And I think, I think what it's really interesting. When we first founded the school, they said, just bring in thousands of kids and, let them enroll and go from there. And we really were focused on building a school that was highly selective and of high quality academics versus just, sign up, do your courses, we'll see you later. And it's proven out. I mean, I think, our referrals from families are through the roof. I think 75% of our new families coming in have been referred by current families. Our retention, meaning the students that return every year, is over 90%. So it's a really, industry average right now, I think, is right around 50%. So for us, it's very reaffirming to know that we're offering an experience for our students that they want to come back every year. And you're selling something to children throughout the world. It's cool and traditionally not as enjoyable. And it's great that they come back, and we love the community that we built. It's so exciting. Just a quick note. I put some links down there. We were asked a couple times, how do I get in touch with you? You can schedule a consultation with Matt or myself. You can go to the application and learn more just there. The links are there along with our admissions guide. We're not, we understand this is a huge decision. And we're also in a world where there's a ton of unknowns out there. And we are not a school for every student. We understand that. And that's why there's an admissions process. And this is a big decision for both you as a student and as a parent. So we really take this seriously. We want you to reach out and feel well-informed throughout that decision. So if there are questions, George, I don't know if you have any other questions or anything as we kind of wrap up with stuff, but feel free to put it in the chat or just fire away.
So far, I just want to speak on my my own experience. I have 2 kids playing a competitive golf, and what would I guess the family who joined this have the same question all the time, one way or another, depending on the timing of the process. When should I thinking about online education compared to a brick and mortar, the normal way? When should, what is the inflection point?
Meaning what?
So I'm asking because you've been through this, and then you on the online.
Oh, meaning when does it really become necessary?
Yes. Sorry about that. Yeah.
So I think I understand what you're saying. So I think a lot of families does. There's two trains of thought, and I think what we've found is late middle school, so 11 and 12, through the early teens is a really, really interesting time. And it tends to be, I think for a lot of families, they want their family back. All of a sudden sports sort of takes over. If you're getting up at the crack of dawn and grinding through school and then going to athletics and training till 8 or 9 o'clock at night and the carpool and everything, and your child's sitting down to do hours and hours of homework, that, to me, for me personally, is probably an indicator it's time to look at something that's more flexible. I think often families feel like, oh, if my student's learning online, will they ever socialize? We've actually found that kids are able to socialize more. So all of a sudden, their school day, which was 8 hours or 9 hours, is compressed into basically half of that, if not less, And all of a sudden they can do school in the morning per se, and then train in the afternoon. And what's interesting there is all of a sudden at 3 or 4 o'clock in the evening, they're done. They're done with their academics. They're done with their school. And those pieces all of a sudden open up the entire afternoon and evening to have family dinner, to sit down with friends and hang out. And they're not trying to cram everything into one day. So I think to answer your question, George, I would say early teenagers, but really throughout. I mean, we have kids from grade 6 all the way through post-grad. Who are either Olympians already, professionals already, or striving to get there. And then we have a lot of families who just say, we're tired of the grind. We want something that meets our needs versus trying to fit our lives into somebody else's schedule.
Yeah, we have a few questions from the.
How can we choose? Yeah, I see that. So can we choose our schedule, and could we reschedule if we have to? Yeah, absolutely. I think if you're speaking about our learning coaches or teachers, that's part of our orientation. So our learning coach would work with each of your children and say, hey, what is your athletic? And I kind of glossed over this. I went too quickly. Part of that conversation is both your macro and micro calendar, meaning what does your full year look like, and what does your day look like? And you can customize all those meetings. And if you're referring to scheduling a time with us, yes, click on the link and fire away, and we'll meet you whatever. How can we ensure our coach is certified in the subject academically? That is when we hire our teachers and coaches, we make sure that they're absolutely, that's part of our accreditation, that we have fully qualified content experts in every subject. For our learning coaches, they might be teachers, coaches, athletes, or they could be a combination of all three. But I can tell you the backgrounds of our teams, and you can go on the website and look at our leadership backgrounds. We have such an impressive group. Frankly, I am the weakest link. They are wonderful to work with, and our families really, really enjoy it. So yeah, we absolutely make sure everybody's up to snuff when it comes to that.
Okay. So, just to, for me personally anyway, the question I asked you, when I decided, maybe I should think about online situation is when I got a third call from the principal.
Yep.
At my son,
yeah,
it's too many days, The first call is okay, we can get by.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, it's absolutely true. I think a lot of, I've had families call me and say they're going to kick us out of school. We've missed so many days. And I also think, when I was running my last brick and mortar, I think it's really hard for a brick and mortar school that's not equipped to support a student who is missing school. If you're not in that physical structure, how do we deliver meaningful learning? And to me, meaningful learning is not, providing a manila folder full of worksheets or going online to do a bunch of PDFs. That to me is not meaningful. And I think it's really challenging for both brick and mortar to support kids that are missing a ton of school. So yes, I think there's the absence issue. I think if your child's missing a ton of school, they're missing on opportunity. And I also think from a support network, you really want, you're going to enter an environment at USPA where George, you hit it on the head. My schedule's crazy. This is nuts. We're traveling all over the place. And you feel completely out of place and that you're sort of abnormal. That to us is normal. We expect that. That is our normal. Your crazy schedule and your travel and your sport and wanting to compete and practice at various times throughout the day. That to us is a normal day at USPA.
Yeah, and also you athlete at the highest level, Matt is athlete. We all know throughout the whole year, our training schedule up and down depend on the competition, right? Yep. And your curriculum, it would be able to support that.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of our athletes will, so for our winter groups that train in Europe, they'll come back in the spring in the U.S. and start their school and then wrap it up before they go back in November. So we have students that start throughout the year. In some cases, some kids will start courses and really focus on 2 or 3 and then add additional courses later. I mean, we can get very complex and granular, meaning we can really look at each course with each student specifically over the course of 12 months. So it does get, when I say customized, very much so.
Yeah.
Well, and we may want to see some questions about classes and different things. George, what we may want to do is, we could do a demo for the next one. If there are people that are interested in learning, we could show them exactly what students and families do when they are a student, and that's always interesting for families to see that. I mean, Pete, we could do that for the group, couldn't we?
Yeah, and I think, I think if you're in here, I think it's also one of those, often I think doing these webinars, Matt, I would think that if you're interested in doing that, schedule a consultation, we can run through it as well. We can do both. But I think if we often get to the point where a family's sitting in these webinars saying, I want to talk about my specific child and what their learning needs are. And I think it's important that people schedule those consultations and we can absolutely dig into it.
And I'm with you on that, because we have people here in the audience. They're all from different sports. Some of them soccer. And
yeah.
Hi, Daddy.
Yeah.
He's a golf academy in Indonesia.
Yeah, and we partner with. Yeah, and so we partner with golf academies, hockey sport organizations, as well as families. So I think if families want to dig into what their students look like, this is part of the process. We can dig in, we can show them the coursework. Somebody asked, is our high school diploma accredited to other countries? Yes, it's an international accreditation. It's recognized throughout the world. We haven't had an issue with the university saying, oh, because it's a U.S. diploma, it doesn't count. We haven't run into that yet. The curriculum that we use is a U.S.-based curriculum. It's approved in everywhere from California to all other places. It's fully accredited and NCAA approved through us. So it absolutely meets all those needs. And yes, this is a pathway for U.S. to get to a U.S. university or college, or frankly, all over the world. We have students, as I mentioned, some of our athletes right now have gone to our school, performed in the Olympics, sailed in the Olympics, and now is at one of the top engineering schools in the UK. We do have AP courses. We also have honors courses. I think one of the pieces we often run into with AP courses, and I caution everybody out there, is making sure that your schedule meets when the AP is offered. We've had a couple instances where students have taken AP courses, worked tremendously hard to fit it into their schedule, and then been gone because of sporting events when the AP is offered in April. So we do, but we often have our students that load up on honors courses as well. So we offer those across the board.
Okay, so we're probably going to take a few more questions. So if you have anything, just go ahead and write, your question there, and then we get out of the way. So Matt, and if somebody want to join the program now, could you, tell us a little bit more about your pricing structure? How much it costs, and also what's the next step?
Mm-hmm. So, go ahead, Matt.
Oh, no, I was just starting to type that into the chat with everybody. So I think what you'll find out there is there are a lot of add-ons from a lot of schools. So USPA tuition is $11,900 for an academic year, $10,500 for middle school. So 6 through 8, and then 9 through 12. High school is $11,900. And what's included in that, so that there are no extra fees. That is all a family is going to pay. So it includes AP and honors classes that we talked about, SAT prep, ACT prep, transcript, translation, which we could do, and then of course language and TOEFL as well. So there's a lot changing out there too with languages, and now you can do the at-home IELTS test and TOEFL. So $11,900 for high school, $10,500 for middle school, includes everything. And I think, what do we have, about 32 AP classes, Pete? 31?
Yeah. And I mean, a lot of schools, I've heard through the grapevine that a lot of schools too are relabeling those AP courses as honors. But I think it's, again, when I first started the school, to be frank with you, it was, we set a tuition rate, and then we sort of added fees to make up any differences. And for us, we really wanted to make sure that our kids weren't looking at a clock, or parents weren't hesitating to ask a college counselor a question because there was an additional fee. For us, it's all included. We want you to feel that unlimited amount of support throughout. And then of course we have, for larger organizations, partnerships that come to us. We work, if you come to us with an academy or whatever that is, we partner with them, and then those students would receive a potentially discounted rate depending on numbers and all that good stuff. And that's where Matt can work with you.
We've got group, right? Sorry, Pete, you might have said this a little bit, but I was typing a little bit here. You might have already said this. So with some teams, we actually have a learning coach on site. Did you say that already, Pete? Oh, sorry.
Yeah, we have micro campuses. We have micro campuses there throughout the world, where we'll actually have one of our learning coaches on site throughout the course of the day to supervise the academic environment that's set up there. So in some cases, families love that. In others, they really like the idea of their child being home. Obviously, with all this uncertainty in the world and sort of travel, ensuring that you've got a stable platform and stable school that understands what the learning environment is going to be, regardless of what's going on, is really important. But yeah, in a lot of cases, we do that. There was a question about our college acceptances. Every student that's gone through USPA has been accepted to the college or university of their choice.
Which that was their path, because we do have a
Yeah,
couple.
and it does depend. I mean, we have
Right.
either students that have turned professional, so are playing professionally over in Europe or in other countries. But then we've also had students that have had to defer because of Olympic commitments or a cycle coming up with the games, where they'll take a year off, defer college for a year, and then go the following year. And that's just part of the process of integrating the athletics and academics. Our college counseling and support office is unlimited, meaning you have access to that as a USPA graduate for life. So a lot of students that do defer and go away for, sport, or let's say you're in the games for a year or training professionally and then come back and want to put the finishing touches on your applications for college or university, you can contact Brennan and Julie. We get back to your file, open it up, and off we go. So that's an unlimited amount. I see another question in here. Guys, campus program where the students have the opportunity to know better. Yes, we do have areas, Matt mentioned it, the micro campuses, where you can visit those campuses and have access to them. We are putting together some large group service learning projects, working with a group called Visions. So that's where the students will come together. You have the opportunity to go on a service learning trip, get to know other students. We were scheduled to do our first this past spring. Obviously, things changed. And I also think there's an interest level. I mean, sometimes when, as one mom said to me very early on, we tried to have, it was actually a really funny story. We had a family who we were going to go down to the Bahamas and work with a science group down there, bring all the families together, the students together. And we were fairly small at that point, under 50 students. And we sent the invitation out, and one mom wrote me back and said, I'm paying for my child to travel to all these places already to go play sports and do these great things. There's no way they're going to the Bahamas. I'm going to the Bahamas and I will sit on a beach. So I think in some cases we try all the time to bring families together. And it's both received very well. I mean, we're excited when the sort of world starts churning again here in the next 6 months to get that service learning project up and running.
Yeah, and I've looked to start a couple of academies or training academies in Thailand. One a couple of years ago, and then another like 10 or 12 years ago. That was, a long time ago, Tony Michai. But in Indonesia, same in Japan. It's hard because you can't get people around fast enough to get to school, to get to training, and then to get back home, because there's so much traffic. And we've even tried to do it in the West Coast. So the question about are the micro campuses that are located in Thailand? No, not at the moment. But it's possible. And an issue was the school, also not an issue, but to be able to have an extended training time, typically you want to try to get out of school a little bit earlier. And then if you have 15 tennis players and 9 soccer players or whatever it is, a school doesn't want to adjust their schedule and timing, because it'll affect the rest of the student body. So this is where USPA can come in and be the academics, and then we can really customize the training, if that makes sense.
And also, when it's safe travel again, please come join us in the camp that we have in Asia.
Yeah,
we
I'd
will.
love to.
Yeah, we were.
Love to.
I think I was there.
I've got quite a list of spots. I'm going to be on, I think, a world tour based on visiting all our micro campuses and families around. It's going to be fun.
They're wonderful. Okay, so I just want to. I saw a few names I want to shout out and recognize our partner, Arthur. I'm not sure if you want to say a few words, but Arthur is our good partner in Singapore. He's been on it, and his goes to the U.S. for college golf soon, hopefully.
Good.
Hi, everyone. Yeah, thanks for the invite, George. This is definitely a different perspective from the normal education system we see in Singapore. So it's something very new to us. And I think some of the parents did highlight some very good pointers, like whether some of the diplomas are recognized in this part of the world.
Yeah.
Maybe Matt or Peter can address that for us.
I mean, you know, our accreditation is internationally recognized. So just like we would accept students from other countries and U.S. colleges and universities do, we haven't had an issue with it. In other words, because we're fully accredited, it doesn't become an issue. At least it hasn't yet.
Well, and in Singapore too, the education, in my experience, you know, is very, very, very high level. Good parents, you know, good academic tracks. You know, we've had students transfer back and forth. You know, that it's almost become where students from Singapore have almost gone a grade above when they're translated. So I know they're very, very, very serious about academics. So I guess I'd say it like this: if a student was maybe at an international school or an American school, you know, then it would easily fit right in. But you get into the British system or different, you know, it gets a little, we do it, but it just gets a little more involved with that.
And I think, Arthur, that's why you have an admissions process with Jeff
Right.
and our admissions team that isn't it. We're not just to sign up and come to USPA school. You know, we want to make sure, you know,
yeah. Let me just say about Jeff Natali and the admissions team. So Jeff was at Milton Academy, which is one of the top boarding schools in the country, and he was the admissions director there. And it's the same process that he's brought. They have it built into USPA. So, like Pete said, we turn down kids. We don't accept everybody. So once they get through the admission process, you know, you'll understand about the classes if they translate or you know, if there are any issues along the way as well. And they talk to other people's admissions department, just like any other school.
Good. All right. Well, thanks again, Arthur, joining us this morning, and also like to look at Daddy. He has a lot of questions from Indonesia. I know, Matt, have you met Daddy before at your time at Indonesia?
Golf?
Golf, yes.
Oh yeah. You know, I've been to Indonesia. I did I was a college placement person for the Faldo Series Asian circuit for a whole year, and that was fun. And I've been to Indonesia a couple of times, and we've had a few students from there. And I know golf is big, and it's growing still.
If they, you know, they still want to pursue college, let's say in Singapore or in other countries, would that still be acceptable?
Yeah. Sorry, say that again, Adding.
So let's say if they want to, you know, decide not to go to the U.S. Universities and they still want to stay, let's say, still in Indonesia or in Singapore or in other Asian countries, would that be acceptable for them to go to college?
Yes.
With the diploma?
Yep.
And that's been done before?
It'd be just like a parent sending to the U.S. for a boarding school, getting a diploma, and then going back to their country. Same exact thing. So it would be the same process.
Okay. And then you'll be able to translate the grades and everything, and you've
during the admission process. So you know, each family would know throughout the process, rather than, you know, any surprises at the end. So everybody is on the same page. Do you know Kianu Hasmana in Indonesia?
That?
You know Kianu Hasmana in Indonesia?
She's a swimmer?
No, he's a golfer.
Who's that?
Well, not that you would. I know there's a ton of people, but just curious. He's one I still talk to.
The golfing community is quite small here, so I should be able to.
Yeah. No, it's great. I've been
Daddy's son also graduated and played golf for University of Kentucky, right? UK?
Yeah, Kentucky now. Yeah.
Great school.
Oh, yeah. That's great. We just had a gymnast actually who signed her letter of intent on a full ride for Kentucky.
Okay, she loved it there.
Yeah, the family in Florida, the gymnast is they're just amazing. I actually sort of did a tour of Florida years ago, and it was great to meet her. She's super excited. That's a great school. They have a great program.
Okay. All right. Well,
and
thanks again.
just people, we have Indonesians.
Okay. Sorry, Daddy. Go ahead, please. Daddy?
Oh, did we lose Dadding? He was asking a question, I think.
Oh yeah. Well, Daddy, just whenever you come back, just let us know. But you know, another person that joined in and out, I guess it's choppy. I'm not sure it's raining in Philippines or not, but that's normally what happens when it's rain. You know, your internet not really clear. So Babette and Carl from Philippines just joined in and out. But then also we have an audience from Philippines here too. So that would be good.
Been a couple of tournaments in the Philippines, and what I love about Philippines that I didn't realize is I played some of the hilliest golf courses I've ever seen in my life. It was awesome.
Okay, good.
Unexpected too.
Matt or Pete, maybe you can help address. We have a few soccer player here
Yeah.
in the call. Is any particular benefit for the soccer player to join USPA?
Well, we actually have a couple different soccer partnerships throughout the world. We have soccer players who have gone on to play at great colleges and then also professionally in Europe. So we work with the International Prospects Academy as well as International Development Academy. And with IDA, we have micro campuses, or International Development Academy. We have a micro campus in Spain. So we actually have a learning coach on site. And then we also have individual soccer players who might be playing professionally in Europe, also working with a learning coach digitally, and work with kids all over. So we're very used to the sort of the model of supporting soccer players throughout the world. We understand sort of the rigors of whether it's the off the pitch training, strength and conditioning, speed and agility, and then also the idea that when you're traveling, how you're traveling, and then the integration with professional and all those pieces. I see another question. Sorry to jump. Do you have benefits? Yeah, basketball, absolutely. I mean, to be honest with all of you, it doesn't need to be mainstream. It can be any sport. I mean, you know, we've had badminton inquiries, synchronized swim. We have a great synchronized swimming group, diving, golf, tennis, a lot of the mainstream. You know, we have a Baja race car driver. He races in trucks in the desert, and he's in 9th grade. And is sponsored already professionally. So basketball, absolutely. I think that's a sport where, you know, certainly being seen and trained is key. And, you know, I mean, we just, as of 15 minutes ago, announced a partnership with the Sports Academy, which, as many of you guys know, is Kobe Bryant's, the former, late Kobe Bryant's Sports Academy, Mamba Academy. Their co-founder, Chad Faulkner, reached out. We connected, and we've just formed a partnership where they're going to offer their unique online training PE courses through USPA in partnership. And so you're actually going to be the best of both worlds. And that announcement literally just went out on the press wire about 15 minutes ago. So we absolutely support basketball and multiple sports.
Good. Well, thanks again for all the information that you presented this morning. And I'm sure if anybody who have any interest, anything like that, just please go ahead and send an email directly to either Pete or Matt, or you can also send it to us at US College Sport Camp as well. Thanks again, Matt and Pete, for information this morning. This is really eye-opening, especially in Asia.
Yeah, and it's a really uncertain time, and we really appreciate being here. And this is a big decision for all of you, whether you're a coach, a director, or a parent. You're not, as I commonly say to families, you're not making a simple decision where to go to dinner tonight. This is a big decision. We want to make sure we're the right fit for you. But George, thank you for putting this together, all of you. Well, have a great evening, morning, day, and feel free. I put my email again in the chat function, and we'd love to chat with you about your specific goals around integrating what we think is a really unique academic program into your lives. So, George, thank you for hosting this.
Thanks again.
Everybody, stay safe and take care.
Okay.
Thanks, everyone.
So thank you, everybody, and take care and stay social distancing. We got better, and we can always get better. All right.
Absolutely.
Thanks again.
Take care, guys.
Bye-bye.